200 miles an hour, it's more than a football field a second. So just imagine, one end of the end zone running all the way across the field to the other end of the end zone in about 0.7 of a second. That's 200 miles an hour. It's a magic number.
And today I plan on getting to that magic number or die trying.
So you're about to have an interesting day when whatever you're doing requires a helmet with your blood type on it?
And a day with world-class driving is definitely interesting, especially when you're at one of the 200-mile-an-hour club events like the one today that brought us to a little used airfield in the middle of the Florida Everglades. So when you're sitting around with your buddies and you're all talking about, hey, what's the fastest you've ever driven? And someone goes, yeah, well, I got up to $140 once on I-95 in the middle of the night. And someone else is like, yeah, I got the old Monte Carlo opened up on I-80, got up to 120 once. And then you just wait till the end now and you say, well, I did 200 once on a supersonic runway in a Ferrari. That's the point of this. It all started with this guy, Jean-Paul Libert, a former Belgian racer whose goal now is to bring the adrenaline of the track to the average person, or at least the average person with a day off and about $5,000 to spend. Obviously, that's a fair chunk of change, but when you look at the cars you're driving, it's probably a fair deal.
They're basically driving about 2,600 horsepower worth of vehicles and about $2 million worth of vehicles.
Jean-Paul's plan is that when the 200th person reaches the goal, he's going to shut down the program. So it's an exclusive club, and it's not as easy to join as you'd think, even on a 2-mile-long track like we've got here.
You're pushing a lot of air. There's a lot of energy that needs to be built up in that car to get to that speed. We have a 2-mile runway here. We're going to be at about 140 miles an hour in the first mile, about 180 miles an hour in the mile and a quarter. It takes almost another 3/4 of a mile to get 20 more miles an hour out of it. So you literally need almost a mile just to get from 170, 180 to 200.
To help us get there, we spend the entire morning in instruction at 2 different stations around the airfield. Our first session is a mini autocross course where we get our first taste of the Ferrari F430.
Our handling oval is set up in such a way that we can allow our customers to get a feel for how you get the car turned in, how you start to accelerate, unwinding the wheel, getting on the brakes aggressively as we're doing right now, getting the car downshifted, turning in, always looking through the window, which is paramount, obviously. Accelerating up through the gearbox. Second gear right now, about 8,000 RPM in the third gear. A light brake, getting the car turned in, being real patient and smooth. Starting to unwind the wheel and accelerate. Back on the brakes hard. Downshifting into second gear for a hairpin corner through here. On the brakes, downshifting, looking through the corner. And all of this is in an attempt to get our customers comfortable with the fact that once they get out on the runway, it's all about corner entry and corner exit speed, meaning that you need to have at least a 75, 80 mile an hour run from the taxiway out onto the runway, otherwise you might not make the 200 mile an hour. Equally so, when you come off the throttle, you need to make sure that you get the car slowed down and actually have it in such a way where you're no faster than 75 or 80 miles an hour as you come off the runway. So really it's about exit speed and RPM. If you get those two things right, you're going to have a good run and probably make the 200 mile an hour barrier.
The next car up, Ferrari's less refined Italian cousin, the Lamborghini Gallardo Superleggera, the lightweight version of the Lamborghini Gallardo. Now, neither of these cars will actually crack the 200 mile an hour barrier, but hey, if someone's going to give you a chance to drive a Gallardo in an F430, why not?